Let's talk baseball because we are celebrating. At least TJ is. His Mets knocking out the Phillies tonight. We're going to get the Yankees trying to do the same to the Royals. We have a Game 5 coming up as well tomorrow for the Padres and the Dodgers. And my Guardians are facing elimination, but they will win tonight or this afternoon, and they will force a Game 5 coming up on Saturday. Mark it down because I'm optimistic. Okay? You should be as well. Levi Weaver writes baseball and does it well for The Athletic. You should read The Wind-Up with Ken Rosenthal every day because I do, and Levi joins us now on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, man?
I'm good. I feel like I got here just a little too late for some good Kansas City stories.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Absolutely did,
Levi. I don't know that you really missed anything.
You did, Levi. You did.
Yeah, I don't know that you did. It's just TJ falling asleep while eating a Twix bar and then waking up and then realizing that this doesn't look good because he rolled all over the Twix bar while in bed. And are you painting? Can you paint that image? You're a wordsmith.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I'm caught right up.
Paint that image. That is a fantastic. Hold on, before we talk baseball, I'm looking at your cork board behind you.
No, last time he was on, we talked about this. It's tremendous.
Let's break down that board last time.
I'm trying to. What's the
That's
best?
a little glary there. Sir.
Yeah, no, I get it. What's the best card up there?
He's got some good ones.
Yeah, it's probably this one. I don't know if you guys can see. That's a Bob Gibson rookie card.
I see that.
Wow,
Don't you have a Clemente up there too, Levi?
I do somewhere. I recently just rearranged this, so I know there's a Clemente up here somewhere. You know what? We're gonna take too much time finding it, but
No,
I've got.
okay.
Oh yeah, right there.
There you go.
Right there.
I used to do this as a kid. I had the cork board in my bedroom, and I was always concerned with like finding the right push pin size and not actually marring the card and putting the pin only through the plastic. It's an art.
It really is.
you just get the hard plastic ones, and then you can pin down the edges of the plastic, and it doesn't ever touch the card.
Wow, we are some dorks. All right. With that said,
I miss my cork board now. I'm looking at that like, man, bringing back great memories.
Levi, are we headed towards the Fox ultimate dream of a Subway series?
Maybe we are also headed for the Fox ultimate nightmare of like Padres-Tigers. It can really go either way.
I just remember back in the day when I worked in that building, Ed Gorin, whom I love dearly, would have that bottle of red in the control room just waiting for that Yankees-Red Sox and waiting for the possibility of the Yankees and NA1 in the World Series. And we might get back to a Mets-Yankees World Series. Now, the Yankees have work to do, and so do the Mets for that matter. But, Levi, Rich made the great point about 20 minutes ago. If we had told you that the Mets would be sitting there just with their feet up, smoking cigars, heard it was a late night last night as well, good for them, waiting to see who they get in the LCS, what would you have said?
Yeah, I mean, 10 days ago, they had to fly to Atlanta to play a doubleheader just to get into the playoffs. Like, it took until after the last day of the season, the scheduled last day of the season, for us to even know if they were going to make the postseason. And now here they are. The Brewers are down, the Phillies are down, and they're going to see either the Dodgers or the Padres. And by the way, either one of those is going to be a phenomenal matchup just for different reasons, right? Like if they play the Padres, you have just vibes against vibes. That's going to be such an entertaining series if it happens. If it's Mets Dodgers, you have a very clear underdog, like a David and Goliath. You got Ohtani and the, however billion-dollar offseason that the Dodgers had. We all expected them to be here. We did not expect the Mets to be here. And the other thing about the Mets is that they've had like one ho-hum win in the last 10 days. The rest have either been very close, one-run games, two-run games, late comebacks, even their losses. The loss to the Phillies was a walk-off. It has just been like we are getting spoiled. There's going to be a day next, May or June when I'm bored and I'm watching, a game that's like a 10-2 blowout, and I'm just going to think back to like, do you remember what it was like to watch baseball, just sitting on the edge of your seat every pitch, just like, what's going to happen now? What's next? What are they going to do next?
Sorry, with a McDonald's Happy Meal character as the new mascot, in essence, which is just absurd. Yeah,
sure.
It's absurd. Yeah. I'm talking to Levi Weaver here from The Athletic. I'm curious, watching the scene in San Diego the last couple of nights, and look, last night, Mookie Betts' early home run shut him up, and then the game was never really in question. after the mid-innings. What does the rest of baseball think? And I know what happened where, they didn't want to talk to Ken Rosenthal a couple of nights ago. But what does the rest of baseball think about the attitude, the swagger, everything that is Fernando Tatis and the Padres?
I feel like a few years ago, Tatis, there was this sort of, oh, this freaking guy, because he was so flashy. I really haven't heard a whole lot of that lately. Because I'm now writing the newsletter and I'm in the clubhouse less, I can't really give you oh, hey, finger on the pulse, what I've heard from players. I can tell you what I've heard from, I guess, other writers and on social media and just, myself watching the games. I love it.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the most fun players to watch in the entire sport. And here's the thing, if you root for him and he hits that big home run and he, flips the bat, and that's not as uncommon as it used to be. There are a whole lot more players that are playing with a bit more flair and a bit more panache. It's wonderful. You cannot help but just be, exhilarated by that. If you root against him and you see that and you're like, oh, this guy, he did that to my team, then the next time he gets out, then you enjoy that a little bit more. I think it is good for the game. I think it's so much fun. But I've always been, I think sports they should be this outlet for that, whatever it is in the human DNA that has that sort of overt celebration in us that you really don't get to do in everyday life, right? You can't get the parking spot that the other guy was trying to get into and you step out and you're just like, got you, eat it. We keep that in real life. I think sports are a great outlet for that. I think they should allow more celebrations in football when guys score a touchdown. Bring the props back. It's entertaining. It's not hurting anybody. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I do think some of the ridiculous chains in the dugout are exactly that, ridiculous. Just because Miami years ago did a turnover chain didn't mean that it had to take over all of both college and professional sports. I find some of those silly, but conversely, Ohtani's emotion after the home run in Game 1. Right? You don't often see that from him. That was amazing. And I am here for that. I'm here for the Game 5 as well. I mean, obviously, what's on the line for the Padres, who everyone in San Diego hates the whole LA everything, right? Although when you go to downtown San Diego, they try to make it more and more like Sunset, like you're going out in Hollywood. I'll just say that, but that's a whole different story there when it comes to bars and restaurants, and that's another story. But what's on the line here for the Dodgers, potentially, if they get knocked out, Levi, by the Padres again? I'll just leave it open. Then what?
Yeah, I mean, it's sure going to sting. They definitely spent more money than anyone's ever spent this last offseason. And we just sort of expected, look, if they stay healthy, they're going to win 120 games. They didn't stay healthy. They got Kershaw on the injured list. They've got Glasnow on the injured list. Tony Gonsolin hasn't pitched for them at all. They've got Gavin Stone is on the injured. They have so many injured pitchers. Even two of the guys that are pitching for them, Walker Buehler and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, are coming back from injuries and don't really necessarily look like themselves. Yamamoto's throwing 3 or 4 innings a start. So there is a lot on the line, but also if they lose, nobody on the team is going to want to make excuses. And frankly, they need to address why are our pitchers getting hurt so much? It feels like it's a sport-wide epidemic and maybe more so in LA than anywhere else. But if they lose, we had one starting pitcher. What do you want? On the flip side, if they lose and then Detroit wins, and Detroit also just has one starting pitcher, that's not going to look good for them. So, yeah, the stakes are high. The stakes are always high, but that's the thing with the playoffs. It's a crapshoot. Baseball is, you design your team with 2 goals in mind. One, design it for the marathon to get through this 162-game season and make the postseason. And then there's a little bit of a flip. It's less about depth and more about we need our top tier of guys to be healthy and perform. And it's such a small sample size compared, especially in the wild card and division series round. It's a 5-game series. If you lose 3 games, which teams do all the time during the regular season, 2 far worse teams. I am of the opinion you could put the Colorado Rockies in a 5-game series, and once in a while they're gonna beat a team that's way, way better than them. It's just the nature of the playoffs.
Sure. And it's what's fun. It's what's maddening as well. It's what makes the losing hurt that much more. Because as a fan, we were talking about this earlier, talking to Levi Weaver here from The Athletic, you put 6 months every day of your life into rooting for a team, and then all of a sudden it's over so quickly. I'm personally dealing with that as well. I'm a Guardians fan. I think they're going to win tonight and force the decisive Yom Kippur Game 5 on Saturday, but that's just me. I'm curious, again, what does the rest of baseball think about what I think, honestly, is a bit of over-managing? You knew the Tigers were going to the bullpen game yesterday, and you're burning pinch hitters in the first and second inning to deal with a lefty-righty matchup. Now, that had been discussed, clearly part of the game plan, but I don't get putting guys in your lineup and not even letting them get an at-bat. Like, why are we... You know it's going to be a low-scoring game. Why are you playing that game? And Stephen Vogt's a huge reason this team is here, all right? Not going to take away from his regular season success as a rookie manager. It was amazing. But why are you doing that?
Well... Yeah, I get it. And it definitely seemed like a bit of an overreaction to the pitching chaos of the Tigers, right? It is very strange. It's very unusual to see a guy get pinch hit for before his first at bat. On the flip side, like, it's Will Brennan. I don't mean this as any disrespect to Will Brennan, but is he a guy that you're going to really wish in the 8th or 9th inning that you had off the bench? In a league where there is a DH now, you're not going to have to pinch hit for your pitcher, so you don't really have to worry about that. I think it might have been as much for misdirection as anything else. Or like, okay, Will Brennan's starting this game. Haha, just kidding. Like the equivalent of an opener where you're going to get this guy, but for 1 inning. Do I think it was the right move? Well, it didn't really pan out. I don't know that it would have mattered either way, but having Will Brennan available off the bench to pinch hit late in the game wasn't really the difference between a win and a loss here. So, and probably not, Kyle Manzardo, who was pinch hit for in the 3rd inning. It is perplexing. But I also know that Stephen Vogt is much smarter about baseball than I am.
Yeah.
There's some of me that wants to kind of defer to him. And also, I appreciate the urgency. Right? Like it is the playoffs. Every game is a must-win game. So if that's what you think you need to do to win a baseball game, let's see how it pans out. I don't feel like it backfired so much as I've seen other moves backfire this postseason where you leave a pitcher in too long or take him out too early. So
it was just befuddling. I personally do like Will Brennan's bat. I also like the fact that in a huge outfield like America, you potentially could have used him a little bit later. I think he's a better. Obviously, we know he's a better outfielder than Noel. But you're right. It didn't matter down the stretch. No one could get a hit. Someone's got to get a hit with a runner in scoring position. And it was David Fry, actually, who laced one with 2 men on in late innings. That just, nice play made it third. He actually had a good at-bat there. What annoys me is that Manzardo was taken out of the lineup. I think most fans wanted to see him get 3 or 4 at-bats, right? I mean, he's a guy that when he came back from the minors really did hit. He found his stroke. He had one of those throw the bat and scream at the dugout moments late in the season. You wanted to see him get those ABs, sure. and you didn't. Regardless, I want to get back to the Mets here real quick. Not that it's only about the Mets here. Which team do you think they do prefer?
Ooh, good question. Because you're either getting, chaotic, feral baseball against this dignified juggernaut of the Dodgers, or you're getting chaotic, feral baseball against also chaotic, feral baseball, but maybe a little bit. In fact, let's just be honest, a more talented, I think, team in the Padres. Mm-hmm. And I say that more talented than the Mets. I don't know the Padres, Dodgers. I don't know that talent matchup is very close and has been a lot of fun to watch. I think, I don't know. That is such a great question, and I really don't know. Do you match up your strength against another team that has the same strength? Do you match up your strength against a team that's just completely different? I think they probably would prefer the Dodgers just because the Dodgers starting pitching is thinner than the Padres. Not that Dylan Cease has been, great in the DS. That sounds strange to say that you would want the Dodgers over the Padres, but I think as far as the matchup goes, like anytime your strength is just, vibes and energy, maybe you don't want a team whose strength is also vibes and energy who might be a little bit better at it than you are.
Yeah. That's fascinating, actually. As we careen towards the Yankees and Mets, of course. Yeah, I don't know that we are, but I don't know. That's one of those ones where, as the fan of the small market team, I just want to go, okay, I'm through, which I won't. I'll watch. And I also read Levi Weaver, his column, the newsletter in The Athletic every day for baseball. It is the best. Check it out. The Windup. Levi, we appreciate you. Next time we want the full tour of every card on the wall. Look at that. Just
it's so good.
Look at that direction.
I'm so jealous.
And we can see the ring light and everything. Look at that. I mean, that is fantastic.
Those hard cases. It's covering up my Jeter rookie card there.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Nice. Jeez.
Levi, we appreciate you, man.
That's awesome.
Enjoy baseball today.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.